Guys, Brad from SimpleGuitar.com here. Now, if you are struggling at all with chord changes, you're starting out, you know that you gotta know chords, but the chord changes are just too hard. It's just giving you trouble. Today, we're gonna talk about what are the factors that go into getting your chord changes nice and smooth, and we're gonna work on smoothing those all out to make it nice and easy for you, okay? Now, here's the first thing. The number one thing that you've got to get down when you are talking about your strumming and smoothing out your chord changes is you have to know your chords, right? And most people just don't do enough repetitions of chords to really know them and have them down in their fingers, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you two different things that you can do that are going to help you get those chord changes down and smooth so that you know your chords, and changing from one chord to the next is gonna be easy. So let's do this first one with a C chord, okay? Now, for me, when I start new students out, I actually don't start them out with full chords. Like, for example, a C chord normally has 3 fingers, right? So you've got your first finger on the 2nd fret, 1st string. Your 1st string is open. Your 3rd string is open. Your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of your 4th string. And then your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of your 5th string. Right? I don't start new guitar players out with that. Why? Because that's a lot of coordination. You have to get each of these fingers to sound good, to not be touching other strings, to be pressing down the right amount. It takes quite a bit. So I usually start people out with 1 finger, and we start with just your first 3 strings. So your 3rd string open, 1st fret, 2nd string with your 1st finger, and then your 1st string open, and that's it. And then we add the 2nd finger to that on the 4th string, and then we add the 3rd finger. So we go through a process of, for a little while, you're just playing C with 1 finger, then with 2 fingers, and then with 3 fingers. And that's okay. Can you tackle it the hard way and just jump into C with 3 fingers? Yeah, that's what I did, right? But I'm kind of weird that way too. And that works for some people, and it doesn't work for some people. So I know there are some people out there who will be like, oh no, it's always 3 fingers, you have to do that. But that's a bunch of bull crap, okay? So do whatever is easier for you. But we're going to use the 3-finger C today. And I'm gonna show you what I call chord squeezes. Chord squeezes are the easiest way to get a lot of repetitions down with a new chord so that you build the muscle memory to be able to do it, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. I want you to set a timer for 1 minute, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna get all 3 fingers for your C chord, and what you're gonna do is we're going to squeeze all 3 fingers at the same time down as hard as you can, and then you're going to relax those fingers, and that is 1 repetition. So when I relax them, my fingers release tension, but they don't leave the strings, okay? So my strings are dead, but they're still on the strings though. My fingers are still there. So we're gonna do that 50 times, and you're just gonna count each repetition. And this is not speed. You're not trying to do this as fast as possible. It's 1, relax, 2, relax, right? And you just set a timer for yourself for 1 minute, and you do this for 1 minute, and that is going to be 50 or 60 repetitions, right? Again, not going for speed, but you do have to make sure that you squeeze all the fingers of the chord at the same time, and you relax all the fingers at the same time, okay? Because we want your brain to kind of think of this as 1 unit, with these fingers working together as 1 unit for this chord, so that when you go to change to this chord, you're not having to go 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger, right? We want the chord to just happen with all 3 fingers simultaneously going where they need to go. So after you do that for 1 minute, we're going to set the timer for 1 minute again. Except this time, what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze, and when you relax, you're going to lift your fingers just barely off the strings. Barely off the strings, like a hair's width off the strings, okay? And then from there, squeeze again. And then a hair's width off, and then squeeze again. And again, set a timer for 1 minute. Do that 50 or 60 times, okay? Now, here's the good news. In that 2 minutes already, you will have squeezed that chord or played that chord over 100 to 120 times, okay? In just 2 minutes, right? Because for your brain, it's the same thing every time you squeeze the chord as if you make that chord in the context of playing a song, right? What we do though with this is we take the chord and we do these squeezes, and that shortens the window of time that it takes to get in a lot of repetitions. If we solely played this just with a song, it would take a lot longer to get that many repetitions. So doing an exercise like this is really going to help you, and that will save you time when you actually are using this in a real song, which you absolutely must be doing, right? You don't go learn a new chord if you're not using it in a song, right? But C is one of those essential chords that everybody has to know. So this is going to be great for you if you're struggling with C, with G, with D, with any of your A chords, any of your E chords. This is going to really, really, really help you out. Now, after 2 rounds of that, we're going to do a 3rd round, but this time you're going to squeeze your chord, and then you're going to lift your fingers off the fretboard by like 1/4 of an inch, okay? So not very far, but coming off. And you keep your fingers over the strings that they're playing, and you squeeze all at the same time, you release all at the same time. You want to make sure that you're not doing this one finger at a time. You're doing all the fingers for the chord at once. So set a timer, do that for a minute where you come off about 1/4 of an inch, okay? Then after that, we're going to do it again. Round 4, we're going to squeeze, and you're going to come off about 1/2 inch. So you're doubling your distance that you came off, right? And you squeeze from there. And then you put it down, and then you squeeze from there, and you put it down, and you squeeze from, right? So you got to make sure that you're doing that, and you do that 50 or 60 times, okay? Now, again, I'm going to reiterate this. I'm going to be a broken record all at the same time, okay? Now, after round 4, we're going to do round 5. And round 5, what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze your chord, and you're going to come off about 1 inch, okay? So you're really coming off the chord now. But again, keep your fingers above the strings that they play. Do all your fingers at the same time. And do that for another minute. Set the timer for another minute. Do this 50 or 60 times, right? And that's going to build up those repetitions, okay? Now, we're going to do one more round. What I want you to do now is I want you to squeeze that chord, and I want you to come all the way open. Just open your hand like this, okay? And then you're going to squeeze the chord, and then open your hand. And then squeeze the chord, open your hand. And again, when you squeeze the chord, the goal is to put all the fingers that you're using for that chord down, right? All at the same time. We don't want one finger, one finger, one finger. That's a problem that a lot of people will fall into. In this case, we're just going to go all 3 fingers at once and try to get all 3 fingers together from an open hand. All 3, open. All 3, open, right? Now, if you take the time to do this, that's 6 rounds. And if you're using a timer and you don't waste your time in between, 6 rounds of this, if you're doing it 50 times each in that 1 minute, then you're going to be playing that chord 300 times in 1 minute, right? Now, if you were just doing this with songs, which you absolutely have to do, you absolutely must be doing this with music, it's going to take you a lot longer to get those 300 repetitions. But that 6 minutes of getting 300 repetitions of making that chord, forming that chord, is going to save you hours of time when it comes to playing songs. Okay, so the chord squeezes, doing that, just spending a few minutes each day, pick a chord and do that. That's going to help you learn a new chord in 6 minutes rather than 6 weeks. Okay, it's going to be a lot faster for you. So make sure that you're doing that. So if you're struggling with any particular chord change, the first question is going to be, do I really have that chord down? Can I really play that without thinking about it? Can I play it without looking? Right? That is going to be the big thing, because if you can't, that's the first thing that you've got to do, is you've got to tackle that and make sure that you've built up the muscle memory in your hand to be able to play the chord, and to play the chord as one cohesive unit, not as 3 or 4 individual fingers moving to individual positions. Actually, you know what? Let's backtrack. Before we do the chord squeezes, you got to make sure that you have that chord down clean, right? That means that you can form the chord and that you can individually pick through all the strings of the chord and get a nice clean sound, right? Because we want that first. So get that clean first, then do your chord squeezes, and then do your chord squeezes while strumming. So you're going to squeeze, strum, relax, squeeze, strum, relax, and then squeeze, strum, relax, and then squeeze, strum, relax, and then squeeze, strum, relax, right? Because we want to combine that feeling of the chord forming and then strumming it and then the relaxing together. So we're just taking this to another level, and that's going to make it even better for you. Now, The next thing that we're going to do is we need to start combining your chords together. So what I want you to do is I want you to find a particular chord change that is giving you trouble. Okay, now to find a chord change, I just grabbed this Beatles book and I'm just opening it up to a random place. And here we go. All right, ready? Stop. Okay, this is the song Help. Hey, that's handy. I love that song. So let's do this. Let's pick this chord change right here. Let's go D to G right here. And then it goes to A. So we could do this with 2 chords, and I'll show you how you can do it with 3 chords. So check this out. What we're going to do is first you have to make sure that you have your D chord down. And if you do some chord squeezes to make sure that you've got that chord down, you're going to be awesome. Same thing with your G chord. Make sure that you've got that down, okay? Now, in this case, I would probably play my G chord, the 4-finger version, where my 3rd finger stays put on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string so that I have a common finger between D and G. That just makes life a whole lot easier. So let's do that. So I'm going to play a D chord and I'm going to play a G chord. And what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer for 1 minute again, and we're going to change from D to G as many times as possible. But the first thing that you're going to do is we're not going to strum. We're just going to do this with your fretting hand. And so it would be for 1 minute. I set that and I go D and I'm going to squeeze it. And then I'm going to change to G and squeeze it, and change to D and squeeze it, and change to G and squeeze it. And I'm just worried about the fundamental motions happening with my fretting hand to go from that, right? And again, you want to think about the chord as one cohesive unit. So in this instance, I'm not doing 1 finger at a time changing. I'm doing all 3 fingers for D, and then I'm leaving my 3rd finger in place because it's common to the G chord. And then I'm going to put my other fingers down as close to the same time as possible so that everything is one complete cohesive unit, right? Now, my pinky is going to make it down a lot faster on that G chord than my 1st and 2nd finger just because it's that much closer, right? But I'm going to do that for 1 minute and go D, G, D, G, D, G, D, G. And guess what? I'm going to probably do this 3 or 4 different rounds doing this, right? Now, with 1 minute each, that's the key, because that's going to make it easy to do all these reps and get all these repetitions into a very short window. Now, once you've done that, probably 2 or 3 rounds, what you're going to do is you're going to start strumming, because you want to make sure that when you strum it, that it's a clean sound. And when you change, when you strum, it's a clean sound. And we go clean, 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 clean. And you do that for 1 minute, and you do as many as you can. Okay, now you want to be counting your repetitions on these, and I want you to write them down. I want you to keep track so that you know, okay, the first time I did this 20 times, the second time I did it 23 times, the third time I did it 29 times, okay? And you can see yourself getting better. Sometimes you might go back, you might get worse, you might have a little bit of fatigue, or if you're older, you could have some arthritis start to act up or something like that. There's different things like that happen, but don't let that discourage you and don't give up. You keep doing the repetitions, okay? The repetitions are really going to help you. So do that for 2 or 3 rounds with strumming too. So D, G, right? And if you do that and you make sure it sounds nice and clean and clear and good, you're going to sound awesome, okay? Now, you do that with every single chord change that is giving you trouble. So the next chord change in the song was from G to A. So then I would go and I would go, okay, G to A is hard, so I'm going to do my G chord here, and I'm going to change to A. I'm going to do G, and I'm going to go to A. I'm going to do G, go to A, right? And you just do that same idea where you do it just squeezing, and you do 2 or 3 rounds of just squeezing like that, and then you do it 2 or 3 rounds with your strumming as well. Now, if you really wanted to, we could combine all 3 chords and we could do that together. So we go D, G, A, D, G, A, and then you strum. And you work on that to really smooth out those changes, okay? That's a little bit more advanced for most people, but it is one of those things that you're going to be making those changes anyway, so there's no harm in practicing them at the same time, okay? So between doing your chord squeezes and doing your changes between these and practicing the actual change and doing that 1 minute each, what you're going to do is really build up your muscle memory and the fundamental key motor movements that have to happen with that, okay? Now, the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to practice doing this in time. So for example, in the song Help, that D chord happens on beat 1, and G happens on beat 3, and then A happens on beat 1. So what I would want to do is first simplify that, and I'm just gonna play half notes. Now, if you don't know, half notes get 2 beats each. So I'm gonna strum my D chord on beat 1 and hold that out through beat 2. And then I'll strum G on beat 3, hold that out through beat 4, and strum A on beat 1 of the next measure. And I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, in the song, it's not strummed like that. But the key is you want to get the timing and the rhythm down. And so by counting the beat out loud, or using a metronome, or tapping your foot, or using a drum beat. I love playing with drum beats because it subdivides the beat, makes it sound much better. It's going to get a lot easier for you. But the key is most people struggle with getting things smooth because they don't anticipate the change. So for example, when I'm playing my D chord, I don't have to think about D. I need to be thinking about G and anticipating getting to that G chord, what has to happen. And if I haven't done my repetitions for the G chord, instead of going, okay, I need to change to the G chord, I'm going to be thinking about how do I play that G chord again, right? And so that's why you've got to go back and make sure that you do your chord squeezes for whatever chord you're using so that you have the muscle memory down. So you're not thinking, how do I play that? You just think, okay, next up is G, I'm going to switch to G. And then you have to anticipate that so that when the correct beat comes around, you hit it on time. You have to start that change early and anticipate it so that happens on time. So when I hit D on beat 1, for beat 2 I'm thinking about G, and then I move my fingers and I start moving my hand so that on beat 3 I hit the chord and it's good. And then for the next beat 1 for A, I'm moving so that I land my fingers and I strum right on beat 1, right? Anticipation is going to be great. So counting the beat out loud is one of the simplest ways that you can do that and start to build that anticipation so that your chord changes are happening on time. A big thing that holds people back with their chord changes is they don't start to change for the chord until it's time to already play the chord. You have to change for the chord before it's time to play it. Okay, so make sure that you are doing that. So that's it today, guys. Go use these tips to smooth out any chord changes that are giving you some trouble, and that will help you be so much smoother with all of your chord changes. You're going to learn your chords a lot faster. You're going to smooth out all your chord changes and your strumming, and it's going to make you sound a lot better whenever you play, no matter what song. And yes, you can use this with any chord. Let's say you're learning a sharp 9 chord. I would do the chord squeezes on a sharp 9 chord if you've never done that. And that would be something that you would want to work on, right? And so use this for everything that you need. These things just take a few minutes and then you can put it into real music and start having fun with it. So they will save you a lot of time. So if that was helpful for you, let me know down in the comments. And I do have another gift for you as well. If you have not already gotten it, go to my website at simpleguitar.com/top10, TOP10. That is a guide that I have for you. It's my thank you gift for you watching the video today. And it's called the Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First. It's 10 things that will get you a lot of bang for your buck. It'll give you a good head start with your guitar playing and teach you some things that will actually get you being musical and able to play songs and make music right off the bat. So it's stuff I teach beginners all the time. The guide is like a 17-page PDF, and then there are actually videos to go along with each one of those points in the guide. So go to simpleguitar.com/top10, put in your email address to get that. You can unsubscribe at any time, no hard feelings, but go get that guide. It's my gift to you for watching today. And thanks again for watching. This is a lot of fun, and I enjoy being able to help you out. So if you have any other questions or concerns or things about guitar playing, let me know down in the comments so I can make future videos to help you out with those too. So that is it today. Go smooth out your chord changes, have fun, and I will see you in this next video.